So two nurses tell one of the saddest and most heartwarming nurse stories I've ever heard as part of NPR's weekly Storycorps podcast. Kristen Stollers and Marcy Eberts first met in 2007, working side by side in the intensive care unit at St. Luke's Hospital in Kansas City. So these ladies are tight. Real tight, as tight as two work buddies can be. They're so tight, in fact, that they call each other work wives. Love it. You need your work hubby, your work wife. You need that person. You watch Grey's Anatomy, Christina and what's her name, Meredith. You need your person, and they were each other's person, right? And so Storycorps, if you don't know what it is, it's a non-profit organization whose mission is to record, preserve, and share the stories of Americans from all different backgrounds and beliefs, occupations, and so forth and so on, right? So they tell a story about an elderly patient in the CCU when they work together, specifically in bed 2. That means nothing to us, but I would love for you guys to go look. I'm going to have a link in the edited version of this where you can go to hear the actual story and how they tell it, because it's amazing. But I have to share it with the very few people that are watching this. I love it. I just love the story, okay? So the patient comes in, and the patient had a heart attack, and that's why he's in the CCU. The patient had a cardiac arrest, and they said that they coded him, right? So in the beginning that they coded him, they brought him back. They were excited, but the issue was they did this multiple times over and over and over again. It was one of them situations where he was connected to all these wives. He was as bad as it gets, right? So while all of this was happening, the wife was sitting at his bedside, just sitting there watching it. She stayed, she was crying, she felt horrendous as a person, watching the healthcare providers. And if y'all know when you're at a hospital, you're doing compressions on the patients, you're doing whatever you have to do to save that patient's life. But when you take a step back and watch what's happening, if you're a family member or if you're just another healthcare provider in the hospital watching what's happening, it's a scary sight to see. Someone putting all of their might on one of a patient's or a loved one's chest. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So his wife is sitting there watching this happen to her husband, and it's happening multiple times that entire shift. It gets horrible, but then they have a little bit of a break, and then the wife asks the ultimate question: can I be in bed with him? So she wants to lay in bed with a patient that's in the CCU that has been getting CPR every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes. And the nurses are like, it's not safe, but I can understand. And this is what nursing is about. This is what nursing is about, ladies and gentlemen. So they do everything they have. He's all the wise. He has every catheter or every tube inserted. So they try to finagle a situation where she can lie in bed with him. He goes into VFib. If you don't know what VFib is, just a very bad irregular heartbeat. And they have to do CPR again. And when they start doing CPR, the wife says, please stop. The next time this happens, let's let him go. And she was crying and she was in tears. And after they did the CPR again, and he came back to, and she said, stop, she was sitting there. And she was saying, it was super, super sad. Let me see. It says, I can just remember her sobbing. This is one of the nurses telling the story. I can just remember her sobbing, saying, I wasn't a good enough wife. I should have loved you better. And like the way they describe how this wife is talking to her husband that's in bed, that has gotten CPR 10, 15 times in a single 12-hour shift, is just heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching. But the way that these two nurses, the way that Kristen and Miss Eberts end the story, just, it makes you believe that nursing is literally the greatest profession in the history of the world, right? She says to be with people and create those environments where they get to say their unfinished business to the ones that they love is a gift of a job. And I can't agree more. I cannot agree more. I know it's hard, right? You hear the story and you say, oh my goodness, the patient was getting CPR. He was on the brink of death. His wife was crying. But like, as a nurse, you get to see this. You get to help. You get to guide the situation. It's a really difficult situation, but you're there their entire time. It gives you a perspective that I don't think many people understand. I don't think many people get to ever be a part of. you get to see the end of someone's life. And for those in labor and delivery, they get to see the beginning and everything in between. It is absolutely crazy. Like, I think this story is literally the essence of what nursing is. I love it. I goddamn love it. Beautiful, beautiful told story. I'm going to put the link in the description on the edited version of this, and then you guys can listen to it because they tell it so much better than I do. I get excited. So I had to share the goodness with all of y'all. I had to. I had no choice. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate this. If you guys were informed or educated in any way, shape, or form by these stories, please hit that like button. If you liked my presentation of the news, I really suggest you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time Q the Nurse drops some hot, fresh press news. Thank you. Catch you next week. Deuces.